Hello, friends. This is Erin Ware, and welcome. I'm happy to see you here. I wanted to show you, it's kind of the progression of my planning system. It's kind of a big update since the last video. It's been kind of a crazy month. My son's birthday, spring break, my husband got a new job, and there's just been like a lot. My daughter was sick. There's a lot going on. And so when I posted the last video, which was about my new bullet journaling system in the Hobonichi, no, sorry, it's actually the Sterling Ink N2, which is the Hobonichi Week size, but it was just a notebook. Yeah, so I didn't stay in that. I stayed in it for about a week, and I realized that it wasn't working and I was missing some really important things. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. The thing about planning and like the planner community, all of this stuff that we talk about here. I think part of what's really satisfying about it is when you find the perfect system, even if it's just for a time. Because obviously our lives change, our needs change and all that. I've never met a person who's been satisfied with one planner for, actually that might not be true, but most of us here like to change things as our needs change. And maybe that is true across the board. I don't know, but things change. And because of that, we need to change our planner. So I am still using essentially the same system that I was using in the last video, which is like a bullet type or like a daily log. What is the term for that? I mean, I just call it a daily log. I think there's another term for that type of thing. But it's my daily log. The main problem with the Sterling Ink notebook that I turned into like a bullet journal, the main problem was I didn't have a calendar that I didn't know which calendar to use. And I had this planner for work, and I had a Hobonichi Weeks for like home stuff, and I was kind of putting them both to the side, and I kind of didn't know where to put anything. I had a future log, but I don't really like future logs as far as, I don't know, I never use them. They never serve a purpose for me. And I need to be able to write things down. Not a ton of things, but like when the school gives me a calendar of dates for the next school year, I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't have a calendar right now. And I am not a digital calendar person, that just doesn't work for my brain. So I basically ended up putting it all in here. And now this is no longer just a work planner, but it's just my planner overall. I decided that made the most sense. And so I have changed some of the ways that I'm using these books. And so I'm going to show you that now. You're probably like, just get into it. Yeah, so not a ton has changed in here as far as like the layout of what I had in here before. It's just, this is the monthly GU from Baumkuchen, and I still have like work goals, and that's for work. And then, yeah, so it has the monthlies. I was into 8 in March. So I kind of changed back into the here. So I posted that video on the 20th of March, the bullet journal journey. And then the very next week I was already out of it. It might have even been later that week. It just didn't work. And I didn't feel bad. I took some of those pages out that I had written in. I just took them out of the notebook, and I kind of taped it up, and now it's just a notebook. You can tell, but you can like not really tell. So I'll just use that as a notebook at some point. It's not wasted, but it was a good time for me to get out of it and figure out what actually was going to work. What I did enjoy, which I'll show you, it was the daily log, but a lot of the other stuff that I set up just because that's what you're supposed to have, like a future log and some of the tracker type things, I was like, this is not what I need. I needed the daily log. I didn't need all this other stuff. So I came back in here. This is now my everything calendar. So work stuff and the kids stuff, the home stuff, my husband's stuff, like whatever needs to be written down on a calendar will be written down in here. I think it's plenty of space. I mean, we don't have that much going on. And if I need to, I can color code. I'm using these like Post-it. They're not Post-its. They're like sticky. So it's not a Post-it. It's a, it's like just the sticky part of a sticky note in tape form. I bought this on jet pens. This is the lemon color. It's quite bright. It's not quite fluorescent. It kind of is, and it's kind of not fluorescent. It's a nice color, but it is hard to tell on the website what you're actually going to get. I felt like a lot of the colors look sort of different in different pictures. So this is lemon. I hope that's right. I'm pretty sure it's lemon. But they have several colors, and it's pretty cool because you can just tear. It's like tape, so you can just like tear off what you need, you know, and just the whole thing is sticky, and you can write on it. I mean, it's paper. So yeah, that's cool. So I use that for things that I need to possibly change or move around. It's very repositionable, just like a Post-it note. So yeah, so this is my calendar. Other than that, not much has changed. This has changed the way I'm using the weeklies, but I will come back to this in a second. So in the back of this book, Traveler's Notebook, I have this grid. I cover everything, so it's hard to see, but it's the Baumkuchen grid notebook, which has cream Tomoe River paper in it, and it has a grid that's fairly light, I think. It's not too light. You can definitely see it, but it is on the lighter side, which is really nice. And I like the size of the grid. I think it's 4 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. But the Travelers Company grid, I think, is more like 5 millimeters, and it just seems always like way too big for me. So yeah, so this I love. It's actually really a lot of pages. I think it's like 120 pages. But because it's Tomoe River paper, it's still fairly thin. And so, yeah, I already bought this. Here's the thing. When I bought this whole system, the Traveler's Notebook, the GU inserts from Baumkuchen in January, I also purchased this grid notebook. I think I did at the same time. I'm not sure. But the idea was to basically do this. This is how crazy my brain is. Like, I bought that grid notebook, to do daily logs in, because last year I was doing the bullet journal system, the bulleted list. I was doing daily logs. This is from fall of last year, from summer to fall of last year. And then around the holidays, things got crazy, and I kind of changed some things, and I forgot about it. And also, new planners were coming in, and I forgot. But I was essentially doing this in a traveler's notebook not that long ago. And so when I purchased this in January, the idea was that I was going to do a similar thing. I was going to have the GU inserts for like a calendar, and I was going to do the grid notebook for bulleted lists. I don't know why I can't keep those things straight in my brain, but I just completely forgot. I think what happened is that when I set this up, I was like, oh, this is a lot of notebooks. This feels very thick, and I really liked how the thinner notebook felt. With only 2 inserts, it felt nice to only have, I don't know, it was thinner, it felt nice. And so I took one out, and I think what happened is that because I had this GU weekly, which has, a good bit of space, I thought, well, I don't really need that the daily pages anymore. But like I talked about in my last video, what I found is that this is essentially like using a Hobonichi Weeks. It's bigger, but it's the same idea in that I have limited space for each week, and that tells my brain that it's, you know, scarce. Space is scarce, and so don't write too many things down. Therefore, I hold more things in my head and I forget them because I'm not writing them down. Case in point, the fact that I was trying to do a daily log in January, which I completely forgot about. So here I am in here, like here's what it looks like. So I've been doing this since March 25th, and here, that's when I switched from the Sterling ink notebook. I immediately loved it. I think I loved the size. The color of the paper is cream. I'm always here for cream paper. And I also like it's a little bit bigger, so it still has that narrow look to it, which I think is good for daily logs because I don't know why. It makes sense for some reason. It makes sense to have it kind of narrow because it's a list, I guess. It kind of tells my brain this is a list. And yeah, so I've been doing this. Sometimes I just do a little bit of journaling if I miss the pages. I've got a tracker in here from Essie, Get This Life Together, I think. And then, yeah, I mean, that's it. This is my daily log. I do write the date and the weather at the top of the page because that helps me to, well, this is from Dylan's class that I talked about in the last video, Dylan Mierzwinski. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a bullet journaling class on Skillshare by her. I'll try to remember to link it below. If not, I definitely linked it in my last video. But she talked about how writing the weather helped her kind of, I don't know, ground herself in the day or something. Like it was grounding. It was this is the day. I don't always do this first thing in the, I think I need to get in a practice where this is what I do. Like I need to write my morning pages and then do this immediately, because often, like for instance, today I've done several things on my mental to-do list and I haven't even started today's log yet. And so I need to get better about that because I know that it relieves some stress if I have it written down. Right now I'm still trying to hold everything in my head. And the whole point of the log is that I don't have to hold it in my head. That's the whole point. I don't want to have to hold everything in my head. So I did write the date today, but I haven't done anything else. But yesterday I did make these little weekly task lists for myself. And this is part of the problem solving whole thing. Like I am currently still trying to solve this problem, and it is that I don't necessarily need a whole weekly planner to go along with these daily logs, but I do need somewhere to kind of work out on a weekly basis what I need to get done. And so I've decided it's usually pretty straightforward. I'm working on certain things every week. Like I post on Patreon on Fridays. Every week on Fridays, either a printable or a video, and they alternate. And so I need to do that every week. I try to do a YouTube video a week. Depends on what's going on in my home life and if my kids are with me all the time. But like, you know, it was spring break, so I didn't get a video out, but I try to do that weekly. And then other things, normal things. I have a project going on. I have some things that I want to make progress on every week. So I wrote that down. And then, so the idea is that I just kind of have one of these per week. And that way when I'm writing my daily log, I can think, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen? And I think it's a good idea. I think it's working. I just made this yesterday, so it's a little too early to tell, but I think it's going to be good. And that's that. So that's what's in here. Oh, I put Georgia back here. Did you see? Georgia O'Keeffe, and she's listening to a skull. I love this postcard. I had it in a different notebook and I moved it over. And so you might be wondering what I'm doing with these with the GU Weekly. I have changed its purpose, and I'm not quite prepared to talk to you all about it because it is a little bit, it's something I've been doing for a while, but it's also not something that has completely formed in the physical world. I haven't been doing it on paper long enough. It's a work in progress, and I'm sure I'll share. But essentially what it is kind of a way to check in with myself. So it's like sort of a self-examination tool. It's sort of a review tool, a planning, like intentions, and just sort of thinking about the ways that I want to, spend my time or show up in the world, or like just various things. So I'm not ready to really share it with you yet, but I did go back and kind of fill in, like I just kind of filled in some things. I had been using this as a planner, but I still had all this space, not a ton of space, but some space. And I just went in and filled it in with some poetry and quotes and stuff. And that was fun to do. I had fun kind of repurposing the pages. The planner itself, the GU, is so beautifully made and so minimal, and it kind of just allows you to do whatever you want with it. So I enjoyed kind of filling in the space in different ways. And then I have more. I'm not going to really show you these just yet, but I'll talk about it soon, I'm sure. And so I'm not using it as a weekly planner. I am using it as kind of a way to check in as I'm doing the daily log, like check in overall, like the kind of a big picture, like where am I headed? Am I doing the right kinds of things? I have a tendency to get like really like tunnel vision on some things, and I have a lot of stuff to do this week. I have a lot of different projects, but for some reason, because I have this one thing that I want to do that I told a friend I would do, it doesn't have to be done this very week, but it was like the thing that became the most important in my mind because it was different. It was a little bit kind of a fun, exciting project, and I had some ideas for it. And so I just set off on working on this thing. And I realized last night, I was like, I can't do that. This is what I do all the time. It's like rabbit trails or like, squirrel. I get sidetracked and I lose sight of what's really important all the time. And that's really why I am such an avid journaler and like planner, because this is the only way I can keep anything straight in my head is by writing everything down. And so that's where I'm at. That's what's happening with this. I know that that's probably not very, I don't know if it was cohesive or not. I don't know if that helped at all, but I just wanted to share a little bit about the journey. But I do think that I'm really honing in on some things, homing in. Is that right? Let's see. Honing your craft, homing in. Yeah. I'm homing in on some things. And yeah, I'm going to talk more about that. If you're interested, you can join us over on Patreon. The link is in the description below, and I'd be happy to see you there. I hope you're well. I hope everything's good with you, and I will see you again soon. Okay, bye.